you know, they went nuts on those SUVs, you know what I mean? I said, that's all right, I'd like to have an SUV if I get something new.
Like that. Call this special Wednesday, January 26, 2022, Newton Falls Council meeting to order. If we stand for the pledge. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Short prayer. Precious Lord to God, we thank you for just allowing us to live in the greatest country in the world, dear Lord. We pray that you would bless the people here, bless our community, our country, and help us to make decisions tonight, dear God, that are pleasing to you. We pray this in Jesus' name. Amen. Okay. Whenever Mrs. King is ready to call for the roll.
Switzer. Here. Granchi. Stempert. Yes. Sirocco.
Here.
Bariak.
Here, I make a motion that we excuse Mr. Granchi.
Okay, do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, whenever Mrs. King's ready to call for the roll.
Stempert. Yes. Sirocco.
Yes.
Bariak.
Yes.
Switzer.
Yes.
Okay, and he's excused. Public comments, your name, address, you have 3 minutes, and they're limited to agenda items only. So if there's anybody that would like to comment. Okay, if not, we'll move on to the business part of the agenda. Number 1 is the street department backhoe, and if somebody wants to, do you want to start on that, city manager?
Sure. In your package, you should have received information regarding a backhoe that the street department was looking at. But since that point, the backhoe that he was looking at has been sold. So we're going to ask council that you approve up to a dollar amount, which indicates in that bid, I believe it was $121,000, that you approve up to that dollar amount. And that gives Harry a chance to find a backhoe, another one that's equivalent to the one that he was looking at.
Okay. Does somebody want to make a motion and we have a second? That way that we can have a discussion.
Yeah, I want to make a motion, we suspend council rules. I'd like to talk to Mr. Schaefer and the city manager.
Okay. Do we have a second on that?
Second.
Okay. If Ms. King wants to call for the roll.
Sirocco.
Yes.
Bariak.
Yes.
Switzer.
Yes.
Stempert. Yes.
Okay, regular council rules are suspended.
Mr. Schaefer, this is a state buy, isn't it, sir?
Yes.
Well, is there got to be a different brand than what you want, or is you are not going to be able to get what you want, or we just have to wait a little bit longer?
Yeah, well, we'll have to weigh the difference between them because, yeah, there's probably another one I can get sooner, maybe. Don't know, they're checking it now. That would be a New Holland. And the other one we looked at was a Cat, which, now it's gone. Went off the market already. So.
Harry, could you speak up a little bit? I had a hard time hearing you. What are you saying again? What did you just say?
On the backhoe, the Cat that we were just gave you prices on, which wound up getting sold because they're not going to sit and hold anything, you know. Now, since then I've talked to New Holland also, and we might be looking that way, just to save us some moolah. That's what I have now, is a New Holland.
You had a Cat priced out. Is that what you
Yes, yes. I just don't know how that's going to work out. Now, the Cat, if you buy another Cat now, it'll be into May, maybe, time it gets there. So it's a long time. But I got a guy searching the New Hollands right now, looking for where he can get it across the United States there. So they have a big website they use. It's their website, not ours.
The New Holland will be the same specifications?
Oh, yeah, yeah. We're going to be, they're always very competitive. Just one, sometimes you're paying for a name, you know how that is, by a, BMW versus a Volkswagen, I mean,
Well,
we don't want to go that far.
I've got a long history with equipment, Harry, and Cat's about the top of the line.
Yeah, that it is. But I told the guy to look at the New Holland, see what he says. Nothing to lose, save us some money.
Okay.
As long as it works, I got 22 years out of this current backhoe. So, of course, now it's under a lot of repair, it's broke down.
I have a question.
Yep.
I see on here, the quote also included a CAT's spring inventory reduction discount. Would that be similar to what you would also be getting with the New Holland?
Yes,
A discount on that one
yes,
also?
yes.
Okay, Harry, this is a purchase, correct? Purchase, not a lease?
Right, no, well,
No, it's a lease with a dollar buyout at the end of the
yeah,
lease.
it's only,
Okay.
you have the option of 2-year, 3-year, and then it's $1
I think something that Mr. Granchi wanted to express was, is there any limitations on damage? You know, like when you lease a car,
With,
you have a certain way to turn it
You're
in.
responsible, whoever owns it. Well,
With-
if we have it, we damage it, that's our fault.
Oh,
with
your
those,
cost.
with those types of leases, what Harry's talking about, the kind of lease that we're doing, it doesn't matter. You can put as many miles on it, you can damage it
Okay.
as much as you want. It's ours at the end with the dollar buyout.
Okay, that's something Mr. Granchi had
Yeah.
expressed.
So that's how that works, well, all of those were that way.
Just so
Don't
you
buy trucks or
know,
whatever.
going into it, the police cars are the same way.
Okay, thank you.
Can I?
Mike, there's no limit on the hours. In other words, really all there is on the tractor is an hour meter.
Okay, yeah, John,
I've got a pretty new Holland myself.
I was
and,
just bringing that up, like I say, Mr. Granchi, who
Big-
cannot be here, was
Yeah,
expressing.
I understand that.
I'm just trying to
I
make sure
share
that
his
was brought up.
concerns too.
You have something to temper.
Is there any major difference in insurance, like coverage for it, if it's leased versus buying?
No, it wouldn't make
No.
any difference,
Okay.
no. I wouldn't think so.
May I make a remark just real quickly?
Sure.
I don't believe any of you have legislation in front of you. Do you have legislation in front? So I don't know what type of action you can take on this tonight, other than just discussing it. Does the charter require that legislation be put in front of them?
They can make a motion,
They can do this by motion, even though it's by a
but it'd have to come in front of them by legislation and to reappropriate and stuff.
So you can go over those rules with them. I was my only concern about this stuff.
Yeah, I mean,
Sean, I can't hear you.
with us having item number 1 for the backhoe pertaining to that, we can make a motion to do to take action that pertains to that. Is there any other discussion on this?
I thought that, Sean, I thought that you were going to be able to move a certain dollar figure, in other words, for the lease.
I'll talk about the financing. So the way the lease would work is, it's a contractual arrangement where it is yours, asset, period. That's why there's no responsibility to
Yeah.
have it turned in a certain shape at the end of the lease, it's yours. And the way it should work is probably a 3 to 5 year lease, I'm assuming a 5-year lease to purchase arrangement. And the way we'll appropriate for it is they'll give you an amortization schedule, the financing, the financer, and we'll adjust the appropriations for this year's payment, depending on receipt of the item. I mean, he might not get delivery till the 3rd quarter of this year, depending on when he gets it. But we will have an appropriation measure brought before council for any lease to purchase item, either his department or the police department, because they weren't originally budgeted for at the end of 2021.
I would like to address. I do see here on the stuff that was sent to us in our packets that I see the extended coverage is for 48 months. So I'm assuming this is a 48-month lease. And the financing options that they did give on this particular piece of equipment was a 36-month lease or a 48-month lease. Both have the same exact interest rates. And obviously the one that's the 48-month lease is almost $1,000 less in terms of a monthly payment. So the paperwork we did receive shows that it has extended coverage for the full 48 months and up to 5,000 hours.
And I would suggest the 48-month lease. council.
Well, no, the paperwork I gave her, there was like 3.5 maybe was the interest.
3.39.
Okay. And today I just got it just before I left to go home. I got another one now, it's 4.1, I think.
Because you have to remember, that's for that particular piece of equipment that's no longer available.
And
Right.
this was
The cat.
done on January 14th.
That's the
So
cat.
roughly 10 days ago.
Yeah.
The interest rate has gone up in just 10 days.
Oh, yeah, well, that's,
I have one question for the city manager, if I'm allowed to have one, I'm allowed to have the
Yeah.
floor, sir.
Go ahead.
Can we lock the interest rate in, because interest is gonna start climbing on everything? Is there any way that we can buy, and even if we have to wait for it now, that we can lock in the financing? No.
I think as soon as he signs that agreement with the vendor for the lease purchase arrangement, at that point he can. So the quicker you find an asset to apply the financing to and enter into an agreement, only at that point can you, secure a financing interest rate.
and also these machines have also gone up 5%. Between that one we got there and the other one I just seen a quote on tonight. It's because you're going by the new ones. These other ones were in stock. You know, they were, what Cat did, they bought a whole bunch of those things for the same thing. And they sold them throughout the United States. That's why we don't have one now. So now everything comes in, it comes out of the UK. So that's where it comes from. So they're looking, like I said, March, or not March, May. Probably toward the end of May before you can see it.
As far as legislation goes, do we have to approve something tonight, or could we do, once you do find the actual piece of equipment, could we do a then for now ordinance?
I mean, normally, you would approve he would bring a quote of an item that's in stock, which he doesn't have. And I think you should wait until he has a quote with an interest rate and with the terms. I think you should wait. I don't think you should approve it tonight, right now. I think it's fine to say, go ahead, bring quotes before council with the state bid number on it, but I would not recommend taking any action tonight on just this in this format.
What if he does that and by the time he gets here, it's gone again? Like, is this all happening because we have that cap on what can be spent?
Yes.
Because, I mean, he could come to us, he could find one tomorrow, and then by the time we have it in the meeting, it's gone again, like.
Well, that's exactly what
Where do we let him
happened.
do his job and take care of the streets and do what he needs to do? Understanding the money piece, I'm asking, like. Okay, go for it.
So typically, you're going to contact whoever the vendor is that's selling it, and they have a state bid number on it, and you order it. It's not sitting on a lot waiting to be picked up. So under normal circumstances, because he's getting a discount, they don't have the inventory just sitting on a lot to be picked up. So you wouldn't run into this situation. He must have found they must have just happened to have some assets sitting around. It was probably last year's.
Yeah.
That would have been a good purchase, honestly, if they could have kept it long enough for them to approve it tonight. So the answer to your question is, as soon as he determines who got the state bid on this asset that he wants to get, this equipment that he wants to get, he'll have to order it. So they need that's a contract that they have with the state. They need to make that available for a certain period of time, so that they won't be able to be sold out, that I'm aware of.
Unless he's able to find another one, just like he found the cat. Then we're in the same boat we are tonight.
Yeah, if you can, that would probably be a pretty good purchase. They usually go pretty quickly.
Sean, if I'm off base, tell me, could we come back if it does come in a little bit higher down the road and amend it to add a little bit more money or not? Is that,
Bottom line is he can't, or the city manager can't sign the agreement without council
Okay.
consent, period. So if it did come in at a higher quote, she still couldn't sign the agreement until it was brought before council.
I want the public to know?
You could set up to an amount if you want to give her the authority.
We can, that's what I was requesting, is that you
Yeah.
set up to an amount. Then if Harry finds a piece of equipment, has to order it, we can get it ordered, and then we can lock it in at that point.
After discussing, that's what I thought we were
Yeah.
doing, is trying to get a feel for what was needed.
Right.
And set an amount and put some type of a motion to investigate up to a certain amount.
Right.
I have one more question for Harry. I understand I understand getting big discounts, taking the stuff off the lot last year. Do you foresee, did the dealer tell you that it's gonna go up $4,000, $5,000, $10,000, $12,000? He doesn't know what the new equipment's gonna run?
He's saying 5%
5%.
from today, be 5%.
So can't we appropriate up to 5% more, or what do you think, Sean? I don't know what to do right
I'm
now.
not going to prepare an appropriation measure anyway until I see the financing agreement. And if you are going to introduce a motion tonight, I would take the initial cost, add 5% onto it for a dollar amount, not to exceed that amount. But then I would also set the terms, not to exceed 5 years financing, and maybe not to exceed a certain interest rate that you're all comfortable with, without it being brought before you again for more discussion. That's how I would do it.
That is a good rate, Harry,
Oh, yeah.
3.9.
Yeah.
If you could get on commercial equipment, whew.
So once I get the PO number, then that would lock the price in then. Yeah.
Me,
Right, I got that.
which I could give you right away if they pass the motion tonight, as long as you purchase the equipment within the parameters they set.
How do you want to do it? Fine with me.
It's up to them.
That's up to these guys, yeah.
Okay, do we want to,
I'd like to make a motion. Does anybody want the floor?
Since we're not on council rules, do you want to do the second one and then go back on and make your motions?
do you want to do that while we're off? Do you want to discuss the police vehicles, or?
I want to make a couple comments about this one right now.
Okay, or after we're done with that, do you want to go back in?
No.
And do you want to clear this up, make a motion,
No.
or do you want to discuss the police car right now?
Let's discuss the police.
Okay, what, Ms. Bletzer, did you have something?
All right. From the paperwork that we received, the price of this piece of equipment was going to be about $112,198.60. 5% of that would be another $5,600.
Yep.
And based on that price with that 40-month lease, like I said, well, it's about $2,500 a month. I think we're in a ballpark where we could give Mr. Shaver parameters to seek another vehicle with a, don't go over this number, and then stick to the 48 months. I think we're in that ballpark already. If we could give him, I'm very comfortable with saying up to 120,000. I'm sure you'll be able to keep it under that. Keep it under 120,000 and keep it at 48 months.
All right, I just checked the email I just got today. This one here is for $112,198.
I can't hear you, Harry.
Yeah.
$112,198.60.
That's the one that we received in our packets.
No, this is another one.
Oh, another one.
Yes,
Oh, good.
this is the one that would come in May. This is the way it would come, and it's got a 4-year, 3-year, or 4-year finance options, 36 months is $3.39%. And then a 48-month lease is 39, or 3.39, yeah, same.
It's the same exact thing as
Yep.
we have in front of us then.
couldn't
It's
hear you.
exactly what we have in front of us right now. It's just, it's not a cat, it's a New Holland.
No, it's cat.
It's a cat.
Ooh, I'm all
Oh,
for it.
it's another cat.
I'm all for it.
I support what Tessa's saying, I just want to make sure we don't tie his hands too tight that.
Yeah,
we'll
what's
lose
an
another
extra
one.
$1,000?
Costing money.
Why don't we go an
He
extra?
just found something, he just found one that is exactly like what did get sold.
Yeah, very simple.
But I think the problem is, if I may interject for Harry, is that he needs the backhoe now.
Right.
You know, May's gonna be too late, though he can wait for it till then, but he needs a backhoe now.
And just so you know, my old machine is at Edinburgh, it's getting repaired there. So how long it'll last after that? Don't know.
Well, I know
That might
from
be an idea.
back in the day when I was in warehousing and we would order forklifts, it would take time for them to come in. A lot of times, some of the places would let us use a rental or something, one that's borrowed until that time. Is that possible or no?
I'd have to ask.
Mrs. Pretty, let me have your recommendation again, one more time, please.
My recommendation as far as a dollar amount would be what Tessa said, about 120,000, allow Harry up to 120,000. If he finds anything less than that, obviously, he would do that.
That's what
Because
I'm
he
saying.
needs one now,
I-
so,
So we may need to spend a little more to have it now. versus-
correct. We may have to spend a little bit more to get it now versus,
Could we leave it at the 121 you originally started at?
Yes.
If we don't use it, we're not gonna put the money in our pockets.
correct.
So let's leave it at the 121. And then if the money's not used, but rather than tie his hands, and if it comes in something that we, you know what I mean?
If he can find a New Holland for 90,000, obviously he's gonna buy the New Holland for 90,000 if he can get it right now,
Right.
so.
And so what will happen with the extra money we appropriated? It'll go back to the city treasury, right?
Wouldn't even come out.
I haven't appropriated anything yet, and I will appropriate what the annual payment's gonna be on it, depending on when he collects it and when they start. Yeah, I did have a question about trade-in though. I mean, are we planning on trading in the equipment? Because that would make a difference on what the financing rate would be. And they should give you a quote for trade-in.
Not yet.
And if they're gonna give them a trade-in, the council has to approve the trade-in value.
There was a question on whether we were going to trade it or not, depends on how much they're going to give us, because wastewater has, what, a 1978 backhoe?
That's my.
So they could actually use a newer one if Harry doesn't have to trade it in. We could give it to the wastewater department instead of the 1978 one they have.
Yeah, because they don't use it near like I do, so.
Yeah,
We don't have to trade it in. We could put it up for auction too,
Yep.
right?
right.
You can put it through the state bid, what are the big govdeals.com. You can go through that.
And that can all be figured out later. I think right now,
Right.
we need to approve something so he can get the equipment he needs to work.
Yeah. Who knows, it might just come along with one. You might find one tomorrow, you never know.
Thank you, Harry.
You're welcome.
Is that everybody? Is anybody? Thank you. Can we have the chief up here now, please?
Thank you, Harry.
Wait a minute.
Thank you,
I-
Harry.
I do agree with Tessa that we stick with the 48 months to do the 4
Oh,
year.
yeah.
I would like to propose an ordinance right now.
Well,
I would like to
We're out
propose,
of-
we're out of count.
Yeah, well, we'd have to go back
We
into
gotta
go
back
regular
in.
council, and then we could come back out if you want.
okay.
I mean, does
Because
somebody want to,
we are spending money, so it'll have to be done by an ordinance.
I mean, does somebody want to make a motion to return to regular council?
Not yet.
Well, you want to take care of the police department?
Yes.
Are you gonna
Okay.
remember your ordinance?
Okay.
Write it down.
Oh, yeah, it's here. It's basically about the same as what we had anyhow.
Okay.
Okay. Do we want to move on then to the police cars? Brian, you'll see in your packet also that there were 2 police vehicles. The cost of each vehicle was about $33,000. Then on top of that, there was another quote in there for the fixtures, light bars, you know, the emergency stuff, the cages within the cart. It's separate. So those charges are on top of the $33,000, and the $15,000 quote that he has in there is per car. So you'd have to take the 33 plus the 15, and that's the cost of your cars there. Now, to get these cars, it's gonna take a little over a year before they're in. So we'd have to order them now to be able to get them a year from now.
One of the things I do notice on here, though, it says that the quote was good for 30 days,
Yes.
and we're just past that 30 days. Are these still good quotes?
The quote that I got here is dated,
December 20th.
yes.
And we're at like January 26th, so.
Right. But I talked to the guy today, and he's still willing to go with this.
So these numbers are still good.
This number right here, yes, is good.
Oh, I would like to say this to my fellow council members. Community policing is what we're going to go back to. Our first responsibility is to keep our city and our citizens safe. We have a few cars that are not in very good shape at all. Just the amount of time to get these new cars is why I wanted to have this. When I was being on the police committee, when I was made aware of it a week ago at the last meeting, I said I would be calling for a special meeting. One of the reasons was for the turnaround time. We've gone long enough with trying to, one other thing, and I'm done with it. We're putting so much money into these old cars that we could just about pay for a lease one. Is that right, Chief?
Correct. Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah, Ms. Stemper, did you have something?
Yeah, I just wanted to ask, is there everything you feel your officers are gonna need are in those cars? Or is there anything else we need to?
I'm sorry, ma'am, I'm having difficulty hearing you.
Sorry. Is there everything in those cars that you feel you need for your officers? Is there anything that we needed to add, or what you've priced out there is what you feel?
When the cars come in, I'll need the new MDTs for them and the MDT racks and possibly gun racks. But we're not talking major expense there.
Okay.
And we won't need it for, like John said, almost a year.
Okay. I just want to make the quotes and money allowance and stuff like that, you've got in there what you
Yes,
want or
the
need for your
cars,
officers.
other than the MDT, the gun, and the gun racks, and the mount for the MDT, the car will be ready to go. This includes 2 new radar units, you know, 1 for each car also.
What's MDT, whatever you're saying? What is
Pardon
that? MTT, what is that?
Mobile data terminal, it's the computer we use in the car.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Sure.
So, a little different situation than the backhoe. The equipment, you're gonna have to pay for outright. When I say equipping, I mean the lights, all the internal equipment that you need to add to it, the cage, right, all of that.
That's all included in this bid.
And they equip the extra $15,000, I don't think you're gonna be able to, at least to purchase that. We'll have to pay for that outright. However, the vehicles, you should have at least a purchase agreement, which, did you have that included with your quote materials?
When I talked to Derek over at Montrose Ford, it was my understanding that we could give him the bid that we had for the equipment and it would be rolled into the financing.
That would be fine if you could. Good.
Would you rather that?
Yeah, I would
Prefer
rather
that?
that, that's fine. That's good.
That's the way we bought them before.
Good.
Yes, well, before, we bought them off statewide Ford,
Yes,
and they had the state bid. They lost it this year. Montrose Ford in Akron has it now.
yes.
Statewide Ford had their own people, their own technicians to install the light bars and other equipment. Montrose does not. I think they're working toward that, but being this is their first year having the state bid, they're not prepared to do that. So what they have done is they've subcontracted with Hall Public Safety. We've used Hall Public Safety in the past. They do exceptional work. Portage County has 20 new Tahoes. Hall Public Safety is doing all the work on them. Every connection they do is soldered. It's not crimped. They do excellent work.
Chief, I have one other question. Can you tell the public right now, are these going to be SUV type?
They are. They're Ford Explorer SUVs, just the same as we have now, just a newer model.
Thank you.
They use the VIN number off the one that I'm driving now to equip this car exactly the same.
And we've had pretty good luck with those, haven't we?
We have.
Thank you.
Okay, anybody else? Ms. Butzer, Mr. Soronko?
I'm good.
Okay. What is it?
Yeah, I do have a question though, because I'm slightly confused on the two different, I don't even know what to call it, these, they both start out at 33,000. Oh, this is for the 5-year, $100,000 warranty. Okay.
Yes.
But these are going to be leased vehicles, right?
They are going to be leased. I don't know why they call it a lease, but it's a lease to buy. Basically, you're financing it for the 48-month or whatever term you choose, and at the end, for $1, you buy it out. It's not a lease like we would go get.
We would own it at the end of the lease?
That's correct.
Well, we
Yes.
would purchase it for $1.
Yes.
Chief, something that's, since everybody's asking about every nickel and dime, who's going to letter them?
That's yet to be determined. I haven't asked for a price on that.
Are we going to use the same scheme that we have on the other cars right now?
I would like to change, but, you know, we can discuss that
Down the
later.
road. Okay.
Okay, the only thing I don't see that we did see on the piece of equipment for the street department is the interest rate and the monthly payments.
I asked for the interest rate and whatnot, and I was told that they couldn't give me one because, like Harry said, it's changing, and we also have to consider, you know, the city's credit rating and stuff like that. So they couldn't give it to me.
Did he say he'd hold whatever, he can't hold a rate for us, once you order, he holds the rate, right?
Once you sign the paperwork, I would
Yes.
assume so, yes. Yes.
You should get a lock-in rate when you sign the deal. And the city's credit rating is outstanding.
Okay, anything else? Okay, does anybody want to make a motion to return to regular council?
I'll make a
Wait a
motion.
minute, give me just a second to look
Sure.
one more time. And I want to ask the city manager again. You said that on the vehicles themselves, that's one price.
Correct.
And for two of them, it looks to me like it's 71,000.
For the two?
It
the
says
vehicles.
2 units requested, and that's 71,000, but then it would be an additional 15,000
For the lights and the cages.
per vehicle.
Correct,
So we're looking at roughly 2 vehicles for $100,000?
correct, around
Okay.
50,000 apiece, correct.
96.
I make the motion to go back into session.
Second?
Okay, roll call.
Yes.
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 Okay, back to regular council rules. Item number 1, does somebody want to make some type of a motion, or, you know, or
I would like to make an ordinance proposal for item number 1.
okay,
And I would like to propose that we set a limit of $120,000 and also give him the 48 months to do the lease arrangement for that piece of equipment.
Have an interest rate not to exceed, not to set a limitation on an interest rate?
Well, he found what he had, you know, we don't get to dictate the interest rates, so.
well, he's just saying in case that rate is done when he goes to grab it, to where it's variable, to where, you know, when he finds something, it might have a different interest.
It very well could be anywhere between this 3.39 and 5. So could I just put a ceiling on the 5%?
Yep, not to
Okay.
exceed.
So we've set the ceiling with the price, the terms, meaning how long he can do it, and the interest rate.
Yes.
$120,000, 48 months, and 5%.
Can I, I know the 48 worked in the other plan, but if that's not, it's up to 48 months, right? We don't want anything less than 48 months? Okay.
Great.
I'll
If,
second.
could I interject something? Well, if it's not gonna change the interest rate, why would it would be more feasible us to have the 48 months?
Correct.
Thank you.
Okay. If all the details are in the ordinance, if somebody wants to second.
Second.
Okay, any discussion on the proposed ordinance? Okay, if there's no more discussion, whenever Mrs. King is ready to call for the roll.
Switzer,
Yes.
Stepper,
Yes.
Srocco,
Yes.
Bariak.
Yes.
Okay, passes. Okay, item number 2 is the police vehicles. Are we wanting to do something similar here?
I don't know that we have enough information because we don't have the interest rate and we don't have the number of months. It would be financed, and I don't have a total. I've got a rough total, but
Usually, Sean, correct me if I'm wrong, but on vehicles, isn't it normally 4 to 5 years anyway?
Should be 4 to 5 years.
So
The interest
you-
rate might be a little bit higher.
I mean, we're looking, if he orders them now, they're not coming for a year. When do you normally sign the paperwork for
Immediately.
for the lease payment?
Yeah, I mean, you ought to be able to get in and secure an interest rate this week, because
I would do the same thing, Tessa, set
I-
a limit to,
I have to use my calculator.
I don't think 5%, 5% might be too low. Maybe you could get it for less than 5%, but
Well, the price for the 2 would be about 100,000. The time would be between 4 to 5 years. And then we'll just have to give a ceiling for an interest rate.
right.
Mr. Martin?
Mayor, if I might ask the chief, I know Chief, don't we usually take 5 years? Haven't we, that's what we've done in the past is 5 years,
I think the last ones we got before.
okay?
4 to 5 years is fine.
I mean, how about if we do a ceiling, like I said, up to 100, up to 5 years, and up to whatever the interest rate is that you guys determine. And if he can do better between the chief and Mr. Housley with less, then that would be awesome too.
Mr.
What-
Housley, what interest rate would you,
I don't think it'll be this high, but I would suggest 7. I mean, I honestly think you probably should be able to get the cars for around 5.25, but I don't know. I mean, whatever interest rate you're comfortable with is a max, not to exceed. Maybe it's 6.25. Just so that you don't have to bring it back over a few percentage
So
points.
you're saying 6.25?
That would probably be the lower side of the interest rate. Yeah, 6.2, I'd say 6.5, go 6.5% maybe.
Not to exceed 6.5?
Yeah,
Could we put the language of the best rate available?
right.
I mean, I feel, I don't want to tie hands and lose.
But we're not going to
Right.
exceed, so if we get it under that.
Yeah,
All right, guys. Based on the $71,000 for the two vehicles, and it would be like close to 32,000 for the added police stuff. I come up with a figure that's very close to 135,000. It technically came out to 134,973 and 58 cents.
How was that?
How's that?
Where did you start off with 60?
I'm getting 96.
yeah.
33,000 for a car and 15
Oh.
is 48. That's 96. Let
I'm
me
sorry.
take my shoes
Well,
off.
I know it's somewhere between 96.
Yeah, I'm getting
Yeah.
96.
Okay.
I mean, I only teach fourth grade math, but.
Oh, you know what? I had to multiply. My bad.
Well, they just need to approve an interest rate up to, it's fine.
So we go, say, up to 100,000?
This is what I would do, up to 100, up to 5 years, and then whatever you're comfortable. could
And
be
not to exceed
6.5,
6.5.
6.75, whichever, somewhere in there.
Does that sound good to you, Sean?
That sounds good to me. I'm worried that 100 might be cutting very close. I'm sure he's going to get it for between around 100, so maybe 100 and no more than 103. Just so-
That's what this came out to be. My apologies, I must have done something wrong, but now the calculator tells me it's 103,000.
So I'd say,
$6.20 too.
then I'd go to 105, just,
105, 105, 5 years, and either 6.5 or 6.75,
up to.
up to.
Up to 6.5.
Do we need some kind of language in there, because he's hoping or assuming we can add in that 15,000 per car to the financing? What if we can't? Do we need to put that in the language that that's including that? Because if not,
No,
it would be, no, we're
you don't need to
okay?
put that in, because if you do have to pay for that equipment separate, because sometimes it's two vendors, that's the only reason I thought maybe.
Okay,
It would be under council spending authority, so I would just bring an appropriation measure in, which I
Okay.
plan on doing anyway at some point in time.
okay.
Okay. All right, does somebody want to make the motion?
Well, it needs to be an ordinance also. It would
Yeah.
have to be drafted in ordinance form, but I missed some of the other things. I know it was, the dollar amount was 105,000.
Yes.
Was the term 5 years?
Up to
Up-
5
up
years.
Up to?
5. Okay, it could end up being 4, so we'll say up to 5.
And then a cap of 6.5 interest, correct?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, I think I would like to make a recommendation for an ordinance. I'd like to propose an ordinance for up to 105,000, up to 5 years, and up to 6.5%.
I will second that.
Okay, we got a second. Ms. Stemper, is there any discussion on this?
I know we have a motion on the floor. We don't have the law director here right now. And I know everybody hates emergency ordinances, but would this be any type of justification for going through with this as emergency ordinance? So we don't have to wait for 30 days? We're already pushing this out. What do you think, Sean?
Well, when you say wait the 30 days, you mean wait the 30 days for the legislation to become effective? Is that what you mean by that?
She's making it an ordinance. It has to be read twice.
You could, it really does need vehicles. To me, easily meets the criteria of an emergency. Some of their vehicles are just in a deplorable state. They need 2 vehicles, so I would pass it as an emergency tonight, if you can.
For both of them?
You can't pass a motion by emergency.
There you have it, so you can wait till the next meeting and have it in a week, or you can not pass it by emergency and have to wait a month. So it doesn't seem to me like you can take any action on this if you're in a hurry to get the equipment tonight.
Well, we already know that we won't be getting the police cars for at least a year, right, Brian? So there's no reason to make the police cars an emergency other than to secure and finalize the terms and conditions.
You can't sign the agreement, right, for 30 days? You won't be able to sign, he won't be able to sign the agreement for a month?
It has to have 2 readings, and then it's effective 30 days after, correct?
No, what he could do is, if you authorize him to lock this deal in and he brings you back the lease agreement, you can they can authorize you to enter into the lease agreement, and then you have time to put it on as an appropriation.
So what you're saying is at the next meeting,
So
he can bring
if he has
legislation
that
before
legislation, we could do it as a resolution to authorize the city manager to enter into that lease agreement, and then you can put it on as an ordinance.
and he can sign it at the
Yeah.
next meeting, so.
So you can do the ordinance after the resolution is done.
So what you really need now is something authorizing him to lock in those cars.
Both
By
are-
saying that you're proposing an ordinance, it's putting it off until,
Well, him,
Right.
the police and the street department for the backhoe too, right? They'd have to do both of them that way.
right, but you already proposed the ordinance, which, I mean, we know it's gotta be an ordinance of appropriation,
Right.
but the way it was worded,
So what's the fix?
fix is to reconsider the original motion that established the ordinance for the backhoe. This one hasn't been voted on yet, so we haven't made this motion yet.
I have a motion, I want to put a motion to reconsider.
Well, hold on a second.
Wait a minute, we have a motion and a
we have
second
first
on
and
this.
second.
Okay,
So if you withdraw this motion that's on here now,
I would like to withdraw my motion.
thank
Okay.
you.
Okay, now, John, what did you want to do?
I want to give what Mrs. King said, that's, so we don't have to wait another 90 days, and we're really getting into,
Okay, a resolution to, for the information we put on there, right?
So I will pass a resolution tonight authorizing him to go ahead and obtain the updated quote and lease arrangement and bring it before you all. Is that what you're thinking?
And then we would have an ordinance with the exact details of the signed contract
Yeah.
to approve, and then you would
Yes.
do the appropriations, correct?
Right, then after you guys approve that.
is that the way you do that, Kathy?
No,
Well, we
that's-
don't have a resolution written up tonight, so you're gonna have to just pass a motion. I don't even know if you can, pass a motion authorizing him to. Are those cars going away? I mean,
No,
No, they haven't even been built yet.
no, they're not going.
but if next Wednesday, if you get the quote and all the information, we put it on as a resolution, it's passed then, will he still honor that quote? I mean, do you have to tell him tomorrow, yes, I want these cars? Okay.
Do we need to vote on me withdrawing my motion?
No, you can withdraw because you put it.
Okay.
It was not, that one wasn't voted on yet. So I think we're good until waiting until Wednesday, and then we'll put it on as a resolution authorizing the city manager to enter into the lease agreement for the
Yeah.
cars, and then you can do the reappropriation amendment.
Yeah, I don't think any action needs to be taken on that. He's gonna bring forward updated quotes for you in legislation form.
So now they just have to do a motion.
But she's got to withdraw her motion for the tractor?
Let's do them one at a time. She withdrew it for the police cars.
Right.
Okay,
So we're working on the police cars.
Yes.
you want
So
to vote
you
on
have
it?
to do a motion. You'd have to do a motion authorizing the city
Now we're on
manager.
the police cars.
Yeah, the
Police
police
cars,
cars.
if somebody wants to make a
They don't do
motion
anything, right?
for the purchase price of up to 105,000, up to 5 years, and up to 6.5%.
I'll make that motion.
Hold up.
Wait a minute.
I really don't think you have to do anything tonight.
No, he really, he's gonna bring you, he's gonna put in front of you, by the
Okay.
next meeting anyway, everything to be approved.
Okay.
So, no actions necessary.
All right, so just take that off the table, and then he'll come back with the details up to what we've given anyways. All right,
So, but then I want to make sure everybody's clear. If he brings it back, then we're doing the ordinance, which is still going to be 90 days.
Unless we pass it on emergency.
If you pass it as an emergency.
We can,
No, once he signs the lease agreement, you can do the ordinance then, and if it takes the time for that, then we're okay. He's not paying for it right then. You're just entering into the lease to get the cars
Well, so they
ordered.
have to do a motion to enter into an agreement.
It'll be by resolution when he has the documents attached.
Okay. Does that make sense?
That way it locks it in, he says he can buy it, and we'll put in the resolution that he's authorized to enter into that lease for X amount of money, and then he'll reappropriate the money.
I'll do the appropriation measure
Okay.
some point in time in the future.
So if he can get the paperwork, we'll have a resolution on the next meeting.
okay. All right, so that's squared away then. Do we need to look at number one and have somebody,
Do we need to
Yeah,
adjust?
because what you did on that one was the same thing. You proposed an ordinance, which is again gonna take
Okay.
that amount of time.
well,
So
who
in
made
Harry's
the
case,
motion on that?
he may find one that's
Spencer.
sitting on a lot and wants to buy it right away. So maybe your motion should just be to authorize him to, I don't even know, because he doesn't have any paperwork on it either.
Well, due to lack of paperwork and legislation in front of you all, there's nothing wrong with just having this discussion. The department heads know that they can go ahead and
Yeah,
bring the stuff before you, and as soon as they have something to put in front of you in legislation form, take the proper action on it at that time.
yes.
And that at that time could be a then for now legislation as emergency?
Probably won't need to be, just because everything's on a back order. They'll do it by resolution at that time.
Yeah, the only issue with Harry's is if he finds one tomorrow sitting on somebody's lot.
Right.
I mean, the only thing I think that you could do right now is make a motion that you would authorize him to, if he can get that deal, to
Somehow lock it in.
lock it in, and that you would appropriate the proper funds at the next meeting.
yeah.
Right.
That's the only other thing I can think of.
That's only till what,
Wednesday if he comes up with it.
next Wednesday?
Yeah.
But he might find one tomorrow sitting on a lot,
But
just
I
like that last one.
understand
and
that,
it
that's
could be
why I
gone.
wanted to give, I don't want to tie his hands. So we want a motion then to,
Authorize the city manager to approve, we will authorize the city manager
right,
Up to the dollar amount specified, right?
right.
Yeah, up to the
And then the
121.
The terms.
And then if they don't find something, then we're gonna go
Then we can do the resolution if he does not find something.
in between.
That way he doesn't lose it again if one does come up.
So maybe the same motion to authorize her to enter into an agreement not to exceed your boundaries, and maybe on the end of that say that it'll be put into proper legislative form at the next meeting. Because I don't think there's anything else you could do right now.
That's just for the backhoe, or? is
That's
that
just for the backhoe, in case he finds one between now and then that he has to say, I really need this.
So we need somebody to amend what we originally did.
Honestly, I think I'd reconsider that motion and remove the sentence or the part of it that said to prepare an ordinance.
yes. I'll
Okay.
put that on the
Can I
floor.
withdraw that?
I think you'd have to reconsider it, bring it back up, and vote it down. Might be the cleanest way to do it.
Yes,
Because everybody voted for it, so you're gonna have to
Yes.
Bring it back
redo the
up?
vote. Bring it back up and redo the vote.
Okay,
So make a motion to
do I do this by
reconsider
motion?
the motion.
I would like to
passed
make a
reference-
motion to reconsider the first piece of legislation that we approved.
And do we have a
In
second?
reference to the backhoe.
Say that again?
In reference to the backhoe.
Back.
In reference to the backhoe.
Do we have
I'll
a second? Mr. Sirotko seconded. Any discussion at all?
I would like to highly recommend that we vote this vote this piece of legislation down.
Okay, so a no votes it down, just for clarification.
Is that for me?
Yeah, well, I don't know, for everybody.
We have issues over here?
So you have to vote on the motion to reconsider,
Yeah.
and then you'll have to vote on the motion to adopt again, which you'll want to vote down.
Oh, okay, so this is just to reconsider, so these are yeses, okay.
So,
All right, so,
on the motion to reconsider, Stumpert,
Yes.
Sirocco,
Yes.
Bariak,
Yes,
Spitzer.
Yes.
now,
Now, to reconsider the motion to adopt that motion, we're gonna have to vote on it again.
So now I'm making the motion to authorize the city manager.
No, we want to vote down that,
vote down
Oh,
this, no.
vote down the first piece of
yeah,
legislation.
we're reconsidering that motion.
Okay.
We're reconsidering the motion to create the ordinance.
Okay, so. we
Ready?
need- We need somebody to make the motion.
I'll make the motion.
Mr.
Second.
Parker, second, and call for the roll.
Sirocco,
Yes.
no.
No.
No,
If
no.
you want it down, they need to.
Bariak,
you want to vote it down?
Yes, they need to be noticed if you want to be successful.
No.
Splitzer,
No.
Stumper.
No.
Okay,
There we go.
What about?
now we're back to square one.
There we go.
On the backhoe.
Yeah,
Now what about the police cruisers?
And I would like to make a motion to authorize the city manager to secure a piece of equipment or to enter into an agreement with the parameters that we originally discussed. The
120,
120,000, 4 years,
and
and up to 5%.
yeah. Okay, do we have a second?
But let's add on to that, with proper legislation being brought before council at the next meeting.
Okay. Do we have a second on that?
I'll second.
Is there any discussion on that? If not, whenever Mrs. King is ready to call for the roll.
Bariak,
Yes,
Spitzer,
Yes.
Stumpert,
Yes.
Sirocco.
Yes.
Okay, passes. And then the police car, we have the thing set up to where we go into the next meeting. And if he has the information, we can enter in, so, okay.
Can I have a floor for a second?
Public comments, again, limited to agenda items. If anybody would like to speak to council, you give your name, your address in 3 minutes. Okay, if not, do we have a motion to adjourn the meeting?
So moved.
second,
Okay, whenever Mrs. King is ready to call for the roll.
Spitzer,
Yes.
Stumpert,
Yes.
Sirocco,
Yes.
Bariak.
yes.
Okay, we need to adjourn.
I think we did.
That's what we do a lot.
That's good.